There's 4 games on the schedule tonight. Of course, I work from 1:45 of my time until 8:15 my time, so I'm not going to get to see much of any of this. I might be home before the Calgary game's over, but I'm not betting on it. Um, we've got San Jose, Washington, Islanders, Florida, Philly, Calgary, Boston, Nashville. Now, in terms of what I put up here, the goaltenders. Jones against Grubauer. Well, Grubauer hasn't got a win yet. Let's see if he can get it. He's at home. He's against San Jose. We'll see. Hudobin against probably Rene. Hudobin, I have faith in Hudobin. I really do. Even if by saying that he hears me and he goes out and lays an egg tonight and he allows 8 goals, I still have faith in Hudobin. Still have faith in Hudobin. Halax against Luongo. Those are both confirmed. That'll be a fun little game to watch, I think. Halak, a goaltender that really is, I think, better than he gets credit for. And Luongo, a goaltender who's standing in terms of his overall... is he a top 20 goaltender of all time? Is he a top 10 goaltender of all time? And there's some that would argue he's not even top 30. And everybody could be right because it's the internet. Elliott, likely against Smith. Now, for Brian Elliott to be playing against Calgary, the Flyers are coming in on a 10-game losing streak. And then they mentioned on Sportsnet this morning, they're like, well, yeah, but they're 0-5-5, so it's not really that bad. And it's like, but it is, because when you're only getting 5 points in 10 games and everybody ahead of you is getting more, and there's so many 3-point games, absolutely, whether it's 0-5-5 or 0-10-0, it's still pretty fatal. So for Philly, tonight's a big game. They cannot let this go to 11. You just can't, right? Elliott should be in net, and he should be motivated against Calgary, right? Because Calgary abandoned him. Let him go. Let him go to Philly. So for Calgary, too, this is an important game in that they're coming off of the embarrassing 7-5 loss against the Oilers. TJ Brody sealing it with a puck he tipped into his own net. I agree with him being defended in that a defenseman putting a puck into his own net doesn't mean he's a bad defenseman. It just means he's got bad luck. Some interesting scoring stats I picked up on these guys. I'm surprised with San Jose that Pavelski's only got 13 points in 25 games. Pavelski right now in 5 goals in 25 games. He's on pace for about 16 goals, about 45 points. And yet, San Jose's got a good record. Their overall record has been good. So that's important. And then I put down their top scoring rookie, who's O'Regan, with 4 points in 7 games. So they're not relying on rookies like a lot of the league is. And we'll see if that later on in the season becomes an issue, if it's a matter of will there be an issue with some of their veteran players as opposed to some of these other Western teams with the younger players. Is speed going to be an issue? With Washington, of course, Grubauer starting. Ovechkin, 27 games, 19 goals, 7 assists, 26 points. Ovechkin has slowed down tremendously off that hot start. He had the 7 goals in his first 2 games. He's had 12 goals in 25 games since then, which is about a 40-goal pace. That's good. That's fine. But, again, the Capitals had that really hot start, and they've been up and down since then. Their top rookie is Madison Bowie, who has 5 points in 21 games. He's a defensive defenseman. That's about what they're going to get from him. The interesting stat for the Islanders is Nick Leddy. 25 games, 6 goals, 15 assists, 21 points. Nick Leddy, is he in the race for the Norris? Right now, probably. It helps him that Karlsson's foot is still hurting. And Karlsson said himself, his foot may never be the same. So buyer beware if you're shopping around and thinking Karlsson's going to fix everything. He's basically saying, my game is likely never going to get to where it was. So Leddy has an inside track that way because statistically, Brent Burns in San Jose hasn't been a juggernaut this year either. The opening is there for Leddy to get in and get himself a Norris, except there's some guys who are ahead of him. Pietrangelo in St. Louis being the most obvious one. Barzal, 25 games, 6 goals, 18 assists, 24 points. Barzal is on pace right now for about 58 assists, approximately. Just looking at that, because 18 times 3 is 54. That'd be in 75 games. You add another 7 games. It's about 58 assists. This likely doesn't lead him to be Rookie of the Year, because very often, if two players are close in points, and right now Brock Besser's right there with them, the guy with the more goals is the pick usually when it comes to Calder. It's very rare that the slick passing Adam Oates type, which is Barzal, is the one that gets Rookie of the Year. That can change, but I do think that in terms of who's going to be Rookie of the Year, I think Clayton Keller is falling back in that, because there are so many good rookies this year, and while Keller's totals are still impressive, he's trending down, and Barzal, Besser, and another guy I'm going to talk about are trending up. Florida, Trocheck's an interesting stat. 26 games, 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points. For fans outside Florida, you can talk about Barkov and Huberdeau and other forwards like Dadonov, for instance, and his coming over from the KHL. It can be easy to forget that Trocheck was their leading scorer last year. I think he had 54 points. And he's doing very well this year as well. He's actually going to score more than that at this pace. And in terms of rookies, because Florida has put so many prospects on their team in the last few years, Connor Brickley, 18 games, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. Remember when Vegas picked him up in the expansion draft? And I'm like, who? Yeah, he's not in every game for Florida, but he's been playing well when he's been in there. Boston's interesting stats. Bergeron, 19 games, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points. I highlight Bergeron because I do think Bergeron's offensive stats are starting to show signs of dwindling. That 5 goals in 19 games, a little bit low for him. And I say that with all great affection towards Patrice Bergeron for what he's been to the Bruins. And there are young guns coming up who are going to start pushing him down the lineup. Bergeron, I think, starting next year, you could see him as a second/third line center. I think that's, this is the start of the Bruins switching over to a new guard, and we'll see if that guard's any good or not. Part of it is this kid down here, Charlie McAvoy, 24 games, 3 goals, 11 assists, 14 points. McAvoy is playing almost half of every game. He's playing like 26, 28 minutes a game, and he looks really good. He takes the odd penalty here and there, but he looks really solid. And I honestly would be very surprised if McAvoy doesn't at least get that top 3 nomination spot for Calder. He has been very mature for his age, and he's on pace for about 50 points as a defenseman, as a rookie defenseman. This right here is Boston's future. And it's kind of exciting to watch game in and game out. I haven't seen him play a bad game yet. I really haven't. I've seen him make some rookie mistakes here and there, but in general, he has been fantastic. There we go. Nashville. Arvidsson's the interesting one here. 26 games, 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. Arvidsson's also known over the weekend for the fact that a fan got him to take his engagement ring and hand it to his girlfriend as they were walking by. The girlfriend takes the engagement ring from Arvidsson, freaks out, and while she's freaking out, Subban is saying, just say yes, or something to that effect as he's going by. And Rene and Saros were also distracted by what was going on as they walked by. It's a fun way to go about it, and Arvidsson shows he's a fun guy by going along with it. That he'd say, yeah, I'll do that. The funny thing they did say on Sportsnet was, though, since Arvidsson was the girlfriend, now fiance's favorite player, what if she thought she was getting the ring from Arvidsson and turned around and said, well, bye. Anyways, just a funny note. And Arvidsson's totals are underwhelming in this environment. In terms of the fact that we're all excited over all these guys who are 100-point pace, 80-point pace, all these great totals, it's easy to lose that Arvidsson is on pace for 30 goals again this year. It's easy to lose that Arvidsson's on pace for 60 points. And for Nashville, Auberg is kind of surprising in that he's played 14 games, he's got 2 points. I keep wanting more offensively from Auberg. I do. I watch him and he's good. And he sort of reminds me of Arvidsson at the start of his career. Arvidsson, his first year, didn't put in very many points, and in the playoffs, he only had the 1 goal, and You know, I looked like I was crazy for saying I think this kid's going to be a top 6 forward. I think Auberg could go on that. I don't know that he'll end up at Arvidsson level, but he is better than this. He does show game in, game out he's better than this. Philly is weird. Claude Giroux, 26 games, 11 goals, 17 assists, 28 points. The first line for Philly's been great. The problem really has been the lines that follow it. And a good coach would split that first line up. I'm just throwing that out there. When you've got a line that's going, splitting that lineup can be bad. But when you've got a team that isn't scoring, splitting up that scoring line and distributing the scoring around is probably your best bet. Giroux right now is having a fantastic year. And this should be probably a 12 according to Flyers fans because there was a goal called back against Boston. But either way, he's having a very good year. And I do think that whatever happens, Giroux doesn't go anywhere. There's a lot of, what'll the Flyers trade? Who's going to be out? Simmons is the one that makes the most amount of sense. Giroux's not going anywhere. Neither's Voracek. Those guys are just Flyers. They're not moving. And especially considering how Braden Schen's come back to haunt them immediately. They're not trading another big-name guy who's, I guess Simmons could come back to haunt them, but he's not as offensively gifted as a Braden Schenn. He's more the power forward of the two. And then an interesting stat here is Haig with 26 games and 3 points as a rookie, and he's a plus 10. And I've mentioned this before, but his plus minus is so much better than everybody else's. Haig is that anchor on the blue line. He sort of, to me, statistically, and the way he's playing right now, he's feeling to me a lot like an Adam Foote did early in his career. He doesn't seem to have the physical intimidation of an Adam Foote, but he definitely has the potential. And as a rookie, he's been very impressive for Philly in the midst of a season that's been very unimpressive. Calgary. Ferland is the interesting one here. 25 games, 11 goals, 4 assists, 15 points. And rookie, Jankowski, 18 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. Jankowski has resurrected the career of Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett right now looks good. I know the goalie scored against Brossoit shouldn't have gone in. He shouldn't be able to score from there, but you know what? Those goals all count, and it's all along the lines of building up Bennett's confidence in himself. So Jankowski is making a good case for himself moving up the lineup, and Bennett as well. Move him up the lineup a little bit, because the Flames, while they lost that game against Edmonton, there are some good things they can take out of that. You can just take the TJ Brody putting the puck in his own net and just ignore it. So there you go. There's my diagnosis of these 4 games and of all 8 teams that are playing. I'm not going to try to speculate winners. Again, the home teams in 3 of these games would obviously be statistically expected to win. The Islanders would be expected to win against Florida, and that's kind of where the Islanders are at right now. Now that they're expected to win these games, is this where they're going to start to have a bobble? Is like against Ottawa? Is this where they're going to struggle? Because there's been a lot of us who've been waiting for the Islanders to struggle because they look like they're playing over their heads. They're on pace for well over 100 points. That's above what I think most people predicted. Even optimistic Islanders fans. This 32 points in 25 games. That's pretty heady. That's in 96, about 102, 103 points. That's a good deal number of points right there. Let me know what you guys think. Are the Islanders are they capable of staying up in the upper echelon of the NHL, or will there be a market correction? So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And hey, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.